Hello, random person on the internet. Does it feel like something's wrong with the world? Okay, maybe more than just one thing, you know? Let me give you something. Take the red pill. You'll wake up in your bed with nothing wrong. Take the blue pill, and it will relieve headaches and casual attempts to be Morpheus. Neat. If casual attempts to be Morpheus persist, you may need to see a doctor or WebMD. It's up to you. Now, TF1 does a lot right. Not everything, but a lot. And one good thing they did is give us robot Lawrence Fishburne with Alpha Trion. And yeah, it's cool because he's Lawrence Fishburne. Like that, his signature kind of voice and delivery. It's immediately went, oh, when I heard him the first time. So Alpha Trion appears late in the film, once the main four have sort of gone on their mission to look for the Matrix, and they come across the graveyard of a battle. I don't want to give too many spoilers. We kind of know what the scene is, but like the only robot in that battle that's still sort of alive is Alpha Trion. And he ends up being sort of the mentor to them, helping them along, accidentally creating Megatron, not realizing it, probably. But yeah, through his words, D16 is inspired to rebel against Sentinel Prime. So you have this guy to blame / thank for that. And it's really cool that they're still releasing toys for it this far past the movie, and when we know that they're not doing a sequel. They should do a bloody sequel, but they're not. So, what have you got for me, old man? First off, that head sculpt is really cool. Like, I really like the attention of the broken crest, or antler, horn, whatever you want to call it. And like his angular face kind of implies a beard. Like this part right here is definitely intended to be a beard. So completely purple. And one thing I really like over the sort of main line, this is the Studio Series version of him, is the actual attention to detail of how he looked when they met him, with like the moss colored pieces on his shoulder and his back, and the broken. Like, I didn't do that. That's kind of, they made it that way, and that's really cool attention to detail. Like, I was looking at the Prime Changer, or whatever, like the smaller ones were, and I liked it, but it didn't. It was like pre-war sort of Alpha Trion, and I just like this is how he pretty much looked in the movie. They couldn't figure out a way to give him a cape. It's kind of the only downside, not the only downside, but one of the big downsides of this robot mode is they couldn't incorporate his cape. But we do have the toy to talk about. Let's do size comparison. Yes. Optimus Prime. Starscream. Bumblebee. Megatron! Elita 1. Elita 1 working ankle. I appreciate that they share the same or similar tone of pink. And this utter bastard who, yeah, I guess if you want spoilers, skip ahead. If you don't want spoilers, skip ahead. But he betrayed the Primes, and he ended up dealing the final blow after our main heroes left. They had to leave because he found them, and yeah, he decided to take out Mr. Morpheus here. So articulation-wise, the neck is probably the best joint on him because it's a dumbbell ball joint. It's a ball joint on one end and a ball joint on the other end, so you get a hell of a lot of range. Just like you can look around, you can look up and down. Like one of the best neck joints I've seen in a long time on mainline toys. Like he can look at you when he's not even trying to look at you. He can spout proverbs like every Transformer is born with a cog. Shoulders are universal, pin, swivel. They go out that far, they go around. They do kind of hit a post that's more for the alt mode. Doesn't really get in the way. You do get, instead of a bicep, you get an elbow swivel, along with a below the elbow swivel. And roughly 90 degrees of elbow bend, although the armor on his forearms, the forearmor if you will, does kind of block the last little bit of motion, but you can get it out of the way. No wrist. Sad. Tear. Waist swivel. Hips are universal. They can go forward and backwards. They can go out that far. If Morpheus did have some iconic fight scenes, and this guy can live up to that. No thigh swivel, but you do get a knee swivel along with a 90-degree knee bend, and no ankle. The only thing you get really is that, and that is not a functional joint for posability. Like, you're not, it's technically a toe joint, but look, he's not, the most you could do is maybe a pose like this. Like, no, that's not a pose befitting the legend that is this actor slash character. So yeah, I really like the feel of him. He's like, they've upgraded the quality, it feels like. Well, they're definitely in a budget crunch, posability wise. The plastic feels nice and solid. Like, the rest of the TF1 crew are just hanging out down here and just feeling them. Like, there's none of that rattliness, there's none of the loose joints because the joints aren't even here. I think Megatron and Bumblebee are the most, maybe Starscream. But no, he feels really good. He's a good size. And in the words of, well, was he the king? I don't know. His character in the John Wick series, get this man a gun! He doesn't come with a gun, unfortunately. He comes with, let's just say, it's his tail. He rips off his tail and will use it as kind of a whip. I'm getting massive Cheetor vibes from this. I also forgot one second. Here he is with the G1 Alpha Trion. Yeah, I can totally see how they're cousins. They're definitely in the same family, although they separated at some point. Excuse me, sir. You need to stand on a soft surface. And it's just a peg connection so it can spin in his hand and, I don't know, whip things, I guess. He's not Trevor Belmont. What do we what do you think of that latest Castlevania announcement? From that PlayStation showcase, was it? Recently? It's cool that he gets like an offensive weapon. Like a book and a pen are cool. And a pen you can use as an improvised weapon. Just ask John Wick. He killed 3 men with a fucking pencil. This toy has some really unfortunate drawbacks. The wrist and the ankle. And there are going to be hindrances in the other mode. Like the vibe of the toy, if I can borrow a phrase that I'm not a fan of, it hits right for me. Even if he's not the best to sort of pick up and play with. It's, come on. How could... If they never released like a Hot Toys or something of Morpheus, like if they've never released a high-end collectible or even a regular sort of collectible for everyone of Morpheus, I feel like this is the closest I'm going to get. Really. So, point to him for just being Lawrence Fishburne. So I guess we have to transform this guy. And instead of what you would traditionally expect, he turns into a lion. I know it's a reference to something, because sort of Alpha Trion and Power of the Primes had a lion alt mode. Like, he had a ship alt mode and a lion. But, like, it comes from somewhere. I'm just not super familiar with the source material on it. And honestly, my brain is kind of like, okay, so first we can just fold up the feet. I've only transformed this guy once into his beast mode, and I've kind of forgotten about most of it. But we're going to just start with the legs. And we're going to rotate these pieces all the way up to sort of reshape the proportions of what are going to be his hind legs. So you want to just sort of slide it. Oh, because the knee isn't properly swiveled. There we go. Almost. It'll be fine, I think. There, I got it. And we're going to have to open his chest, but first, I'm just going to go to the forearms, rotate his hands out. I'm pretty sure this is why he doesn't have wrist joints, is for that. And then we're going to do that. And I don't know if I'm 100% a big fan of sacrificing a wrist joint for like a transformation joint, because a lot of times you get a wrist joint that is a transformation joint. You know, like they can bend their hand in because it folds in. But like this is just... So now we're gonna pop his head off and show you the exposed joint in there. Pop it back in and proceed to, hopefully, oh my god. I'm just gonna plug these arms. No, that's not. Oh god. Why won't you open, sir? Ah, there. It has started. And so his arms are on the back piece. I don't, oh my god. There. You're gonna do something like this. Hold on. Ah. His head is kind of stuck. Oh, there we go. There we go. So you want to take this head, and we're going to replace where the robot head was. So rotate it in. I think it's going to go this way. I don't believe the back does anything, actually. Because you can open it all the way up. So, we're going to want this chest piece all the way, not the chest piece, the back piece all the way. And this piece is going to tab in right there. Like to those little notches right there. So now you got that. It's going to close. And also, you're going to want to push the head down so that this piece comes over it. Rotate the beast head. And try to get this entire back section around so it tabs in to a slot on the back of the head, on the neck there. So I had it there, but it didn't stay. Do I have to, doesn't matter which way to rotate the head. It might. Right, because the chest is two pieces separated. Okay, so now that's connected, you're gonna plug it. That one? I think it's the bigger one. Yep. You're gonna want it connected into the bigger one. And then rotate his forearms and make sure now that the legs are plugged in. What were his robot arms? And you're just going to kind of straighten things out so that theoretically he could stand up. And then you're going to bend the legs all the way so that they're kind of, it tells you sort of in a vague, like, put them here in a vaguely quadrupedal stance. And now we're going to come to this. And you could just plug it right in, but all these spikes you see at the tip of it are removable. And they want you to plug the biggest one into there. And then he's got ports on the shoulders and the thighs. And while you could theoretically leave the spikes just on the weapon, I'm just going to follow instructions for completionist's sake. Although, without the spikes, the tail itself does look a bit naked. Last one. So now you have him completed, and there's a port right where you expect it to be, where you plug the tail in, and there you have Alpha Trion in his Alpha Lion mode. That was bad, I know. It is cool. It's cool. It looks incredibly awkward, and I don't know if it did enough to sort of hide away the robot. But let's take a look at the new head. Ah! New head certainly it fits a lion. Maybe a male lions have the big puffy sort of mane, and female lions are more of the shaved, I guess you could say. So I don't. Yeah, because tigers are more like their fur is more closely like, yeah, lions have the massive. Just look at Pyroar. Female and male Pyroar. He's certainly an odd sort of like shape. Like, I have certainly seen probably worse attempts to turn a robot into a lion. I don't think he's the worst. And proportionally, it does make sense to have a big torso and sort of slender legs. Like, I guess I feel like I'm stretching a bit here, like how his legs are stretching to be this length. I'm still getting those Cheetor vibes. Like if they just painted Cheetor in pink and purple and claimed he was a new character. Articulation in this mode, the neck is on a hinge. He can look introspectively, and which also means he can open his mouth. Oh my god, that's too wide! Reminds me of that one scene that Dinobot did with his clone, if you know. And hilariously, maybe, there's a 5mm port in his jaw. Like there's a, maybe it's not 5mm. Yep, 5mm port in the jaw. Actually, he's got one on each side. I'm guessing he can hold his whip tail in his mouth. And use it as a weapon. Or you could plug other weapons into it, I imagine. It's just, yep. Okay. Sure. Attack mode. His shoulders have no motion. They're plugged in, they're locked in. His elbows can bend, and his paw does actually have a joint. Although, as you can see, it pops that constantly. The sacrifices, I guess, he can paw. That's like tackle when you're level 75. He does retain a waist joint. That's impressive. His hips, well, they've got less motion, but they do have some motion, mostly backwards and sort of out. I guess that makes sense for when you want a robot lion to do a specific posture. His knee still works, and his lack of ankle is now kind of even more annoying. Because, like, what am I supposed to do? And this piece is on a hinge. I don't know if you want to consider it a point. I don't. Now I can't use the knee swivel because it's being blocked by the armor. So we'll do final size comparisons before final thoughts. I just noticed this is on a hinge, so it can get filled in both modes. He's also got a stand port right above it. So size comparison, Alpha Trion and Alpha Trion. Elite 1. Starscream. Bumblebee. Megatron. Optimus Prime. Sentinel Prime. Overall, this figure is pretty good. It's got some very unfortunate flaws. I'd say he's a hard recommend. No, he's hard to recommend. But he is Robot Morpheus, Lawrence Fishburne, so like just the gravitas of who's playing him goes a long way, I'd say. It goes all the way into the Matrix. So maybe just on the strength of the actor himself, You might want to pick him up. But he is a solid toy. He's just got some unfortunate flaws. No head swivel. He can't... That's how he looks side to side, I guess. Until next time, join me in the Matrix.
Side effects may include death. But